Hey everybody, welcome to Professional at Anything But Golf, kicking off 2025 with some friends here. I figured we'd have some fun talking about buddies trips, talking about what we just saw with TGL. I've got Wes Altice, as always, joining me. Wes, thanks for being a part of this for another year.
Yeah, looking forward to another year of great conversations and some bourbon.
Amen. I've got Mike Padron and Mike Shelton as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it, Jesse. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely, Jeffy. Known you for a while. Thanks. Glad we could still do this.
Amen. We've been trying to get this done for a while, so I'm glad we can make it happen to kick off 2025. So, guys, what'd you think of TGL? I'll throw it out to you first, Wes. What were your thoughts? The first one came on Monday night, and was it fun? Did you like it?
I did like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. I think it kind of got blown out of the water because the match was so lopsided. So I don't think you got a true feel of what this thing could really be. But I think the technology is cool. I'd like to see more ball data on every single shot. But we can go into the stuff we'd like to see. But overall, I think they've got something, a little refinement. But overall, I was entertained.
I seriously thought when I tuned in, I thought I was going to see Tiger versus Rory to start off the season. Like, I was really surprised that they were sitting in the crowd. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think they did that on purpose just to make sure there weren't any kinks when they do play.
Yeah.
I think that was planned in advance. I did not. I would have been shocked if they would let them go first and there would have been issues. And you got your
Could have been
two big
embarrassing.
investor. Yeah, you got your two
Fair.
big investors that's heading this thing up. You don't want them to be on the first one and something goes haywire.
What do you think, Mike Padron?
Yeah, I think on the Tiger part, I think also it was kind of cool to have them together talking about it while they were playing. So they were able to talk about how it came to fruition. They were able to talk about the technology stuff and how the rules of the game kind of work. Where obviously if they were playing, they could be mic'd up doing that, but I think it gave everybody a little more perspective. It was a good intro. I thought it was a good first two teams to have on there. I mean, I think the personalities were really cool. I mean, from the get-go, I was like, I love this Bay team. Just looking at them, I just like their personalities. I'm a big Oberg fan. I love Shane Lowry. So I think it was really cool. I think what was impressive to me is that a lot of things like that have so much hype going in, and it didn't completely fall flat and disappoint everybody. At least in my opinion, that right there.
You mean after 2 years of waiting, it lived up to the hype?
Right. It could have absolutely been just a shit product, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh man, all right, they just wasted all that money for nothing. But yeah, I mean, I was entertained the whole way through. There's a lot of little things I would tweak on it, but again, I mean, Tiger and Rory, and they know a lot more than we do, but I'm sure they're getting a lot of feedback from everybody of how they would do things differently. The one thing, like Wes said, I think having shot data on every single shot, just constantly up there like a ticker on the bottom or on the side, I think that's really cool and just show how impressive these guys are. And maybe that's more for golf nuts like us that look at numbers a lot more, but I think you're like, holy cow, 185 ball speed or 187. I remember just really quickly that one of those, Xander hit a drive on that one that's a really, really long carry, and he was at 185, 187 ball speed on it. And then Oberg comes up and just bombs one too, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is going to be fly." It flew past Xander's, but he was at 185 ball speed. I'm like, how did that even happen? So it shows a lot of little things. On spin was a little different, or this was a little different, and he was able to outdrive him. So stuff like that is really cool. I just think they could do better on.
No doubt. Shelton, is it something you like? Do you think that you would take your kids to it? Is it something you think your kids would be interested in actually going in and like being in that setting versus going to like a TPC or going to an actual golf course and seeing an event?
I like watching golf of any sort. My oldest son plays golf, and he's the same sort of way. So we've gone to events, and he enjoys every minute of it. But I think going to a full tournament, I mean, it's a full day affair.
Right.
If you're not a big golfer, you're going to lose interest. And I mean, again, most people go to TPC. Most of them don't even see a golf ball hit all day. But I do think the short duration of it is kind of a short, keeping your attention focused on the product
100%.
at the end. I think is great, especially for family and young kids or someone just getting used to them to golf. Where you don't have to go out there and spend 4 hours on a golf course or all day at an event. So yeah, I think I would 100%. I actually know some people that went to the first one, and they said it was actually a very cool event to go to in person, especially for the first one.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, like me watching it on TV, like at first, I'll be honest with you, like I kind of was like, I feel like I'm watching guys play, in like playing Top Golf or playing into a simulator or something at first. And it was like, I didn't necessarily appreciate that part of it. I feel like that they could get a little better with it. But overall, as far as having an intimate setting, being able to complete something within a very short time period. And I thought that part of those parts of things are cool. And I think that they've got a very good foundation to create something of entertainment. I don't know that I look at it as I'm watching a golf competition. I feel like I'm watching more like I feel like it to me, and I could be wrong, but I almost felt like I was watching a little bit of it felt like a game show a little bit, or it felt like kind of a challenge thing for those guys. Would you agree with that, or is that just me seeing that, Wes?
I didn't get that impression just personally.
Yeah.
I think me just being a golf sicko, it's golf. I like watching golf. I like seeing, some of the best players in the world competing. They were mic'd up. They were talking a little bit of trash. I think maybe you get rid of the little bit of the music that's going on so you can focus in on these guys that are talking trash. You could tell Xander was trying to, Wyndham was trying to, but you just didn't hear it in the moment. They did a good job of like going back and showing a little bit, but I think it's more entertaining if you actually, hey, Wyndham's about to hit a putt. He threw the hammer down and Xander gets in front of him pretending he's reading the putt. Like there's probably a little bit of talking going on there and it just wasn't picked up. So yeah, I didn't get that sense that it was similar golf at a bar or something like that. It felt a little bit bigger than that, especially with that massive screen, which is still blows my mind how big that thing is and how you can see like the curve of the shot going into the screen. They can tell right away if they missed it right or left because you got 35 yards going into that screen. They know where that ball's going to end up. So I thought that was cool. I guess there was one with Ricky. He was like, there's no way that was right, but it was Ricky. Who knows?
Hey, call me what you will. I'm a huge fight fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan. I feel like there's a huge amount of room here for these guys to have press conferences, to do stuff on social media, to actually create some level of a feeling of a rivalry with these things. Like, I mean, even if you cartoon it up a little bit, I mean, like you said, I mean, they're mic'd up, like make it entertaining. I mean, half of what they're doing, I mean, yes, it's professional sports, but it's also, this right here, to me, this is sports entertainment. This is, you're asking us to tune in on Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time and be entertained instead of flipping on a television show or something else in the sporting realm. Entertain me. Like, this is your chance to show me what you got for a personality. What do you think, Mike Shelton?
No, I think that's right. I think this is an entertainment thing. This is for the fans more than anything. I do like the competition aspect of it. I think you have to have that as they build some rivalries there away from the PGA Tour and other tours. I think it will be fun to watch. And again, this is entertainment. If you want to watch golf
100%.
Wednesday night at 9 o'clock or Monday night at 9 o'clock, you're either watching reruns or just some random thing on the Golf Channel. This is entertainment.
100% agree. I mean, I feel like we could be hiring managers for these people, like hype men, to come out there and talk shit, honestly.
They're missing, in my opinion, a Charles Barkley type guy in the booth. Like how Charles is in the match, just in the 100%. Ear talking shit. Like Shelton said, it's entertainment product. Like, let's get a guy in there. And I think Charles is obviously going to be the perfect pick, but who knows with his contract. But
hey, he's going. Isn't he going to ESPN? Like, didn't they buy the?
I think so.
I know he's trying to get out of his contract at this point, but
yeah. But he would be like a great fit. He likes golf. He admits he sucks at it, but he will talk shit to every single one. No one is too big of a star for Charles Barkley to talk shit to. And I think you need that kind of in the booth. If stuff is getting a little stale, he can come in and start hammering these guys. And you want to talk about a guy that could probably, get a little bit of a reaction out of Tiger? It's going to be Charles.
Amen.
It's going to be Charles.
Padron?
Yeah, I think what's cool too is that they mix up the teams. Like we're so often looking at these team formats, and they didn't just create a team with 4 USA guys. And they did a really good job with personalities, with countries, with guys that you never see are arm to arm. Like last night it was Lowry and Wyndham. Like those guys are never going to be on a team together, rarely ever.
Yeah.
And it was cool to watch really cool to watch that and have these guys be on the same team. And I think obviously ultimate team in golf is the Ryder Cup, President's Cup, but this felt so cool, like just a 4-person or 3-person team. It really felt like they were pushing for each other. And
I guess my old challenge with that, or the only thing, it's the same thing with Live Golf. Like, why do I care about that team? Like, they just kind of feel like they kind of randomly made these teams. I don't know why to care about them. I need a reason to care.
They got to grow on you, man. I mean, they're gonna eventually grow on you, especially people that don't watch these guys day in and day out. I think you introduce alcohol to it. I mean, I don't know what the rules are, or the sponsorships or whatever. I mean, don't get these guys shit-faced out there, and although that would be entertaining as well. But imagine these guys, Xander with a beer, takes a sip, puts it down, grabs his club, and goes and hits real quick, and then goes back and grabs his beer. Like, it would be so relatable for what we do on a daily basis.
What I'm hearing is that John Daly should be involved with this. He should be hitting shots off of beer cans. Why isn't he there?
You would have Charlie Hall with a big Marlboro sponsorship on the back, and I think you'd bring a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
but that's the point.
Good point.
Again, sports entertainment. All right. Speaking of that, everyone has something in their hand right now. Let's just go around. Love to hear what you guys are drinking. Do you like it? Tell me about what you got, Mike. Padron, what do you got in your hand right now?
I've got a little peg leg porker.
Okay.
It's kind of been my choice here recently. Bourbon. There's a 9-year they make as well that is absolutely amazing, but it's almost still full, so I didn't want to. It's a special occasion kind of thing, but peg leg porker, the bourbon is just absolutely amazing. But that's what I got tonight, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Good deal. Wes?
I got the old trusty little Buffalo Trace. Not as fancy as you guys.
Can't go wrong with that.
I'm still getting into the game a little, so bear with me when these episodes. I'll have something better next time. I promise. But yeah, go with the old trusty. You can't beat it for the price point. It does its job. I'll feel good after this podcast, after I finish this class.
Shelton, what do you got?
I thought about Old Trusty as well. Buffalo Trace. Almost broke out the Four Roses, and then Blanton's was kind of an easy choice. But I figured y'all might have those, so I mixed it up a little bit. Went Noah's Mill, bottled by Willett, and I've had it for a while and felt something different for tonight.
Very cool. And I am drinking Blanton, so that kind of rounds it out for you guys tonight. Anybody who's interested in anything we're drinking, we'll make sure we put links to the distilleries underneath this video when we put it out. But that brings us to it. First off, cheers. Happy New Year, guys. Thanks for joining me for this.
Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, boys.
We're going to roll into talking about buddies trips and about taking, and about some of the things that Mike Padron and Mike Shelton created, that Wes and I actually participate in. That's right. Tin Cup is what they call it. And it's what we've called it for a number of years now. And it's a lot of fun. It gets a lot of people together. And I wanted to kind of give you guys a platform to talk about it, because I think that there's a bunch of people out there that do stuff with their friends. They may not be as organized as you guys. And I certainly appreciate the level of what you guys do. But I wanted to give you guys a platform to talk about it and to just kind of, just for us to share what we've done here for a number of years now, and kind of, because I think it'll resonate with a lot of people who listen to this. So Shelton, tell me where you guys came up with the kind of the Tin Cup concept.
So a brief, long history. I was in Birmingham, Alabama at the time, and a friend and colleague of mine, Jim Sparrow, would go on a boys' trip that was called the Jugtown Cup. My first experience with it was he was building his own trophy and had some sort of ceramic bowl that he wanted to put on the top of it. And he realized he did not have the tools, and very few places did. Needless to say, it was about a 3-week adventure into trying to get this bowl for his cup. Fast forward, right before I left Birmingham, his wife was due with a child. And so he pulls me aside one day and says, "Hey," he's like, "Jugtown Cup's coming up." He's like, "If she goes into labor, I need a replacement." And so he's like, "Hey, I've got everything paid for. You met one of my buddies." He's like, "But just go down there, represent me." And fortunately, the baby came on time for him. I did not get to go on the trip. But shortly thereafter, I moved back down to Florida. Again, I've been in contact with Mike Padron forever, and I said, "Hey, we've got to do this on our own. We got to start a buddies trip and Ryder Cup style tournament." And I think it was 2017 started it off.
Freudian slip or not, you said unfortunately. I'm just going to call you out on that first.
Unfortunately for me, fortunately for them, that everything came and the kids were beautiful. But like I said, that would have been my first experience with team golf. And but he did say, he's like, at some point in time, if you're gonna have a podcast, you need me on that podcast. So later on, we may have to introduce you to Jim Sparrow.
Fair enough. So Padron, take it from there. I mean, you guys decided you wanted to do something with this, and then where'd you go from there? As far as how'd you kind of start this off?
Starting it was not easy. I mean, well, actually, I'll take that back. Starting it was pretty easy. We had immediately a lot of people interested in it. They're like, "Hey, man, we get away for the weekend. We can kind of go play a bunch of golf, hang out with some guys and stuff." And I think they quickly realized it was a little more competitive than they wanted to be. So I think they were more interested. They were more interested in getting out, getting away from the family, getting absolutely hammered, and not even caring. So the first couple of years, like Shelton said, I think it was 16 or 17 when we started. We started local, and here in Jacksonville, and it was a different feeling then. So we always like to say, when we started it, our first year we call is 2019 was Amelia Island, because that's the first year we actually went and we stayed out. So we were there for the weekend. We had like a little townhome thing in Amelia Island. We hung out together, and that's where really the camaraderie started. And then that core group of guys, we dwindled down to 6 people in that third year. I mean, we had, what was it, 12 or 14 the first year. And everybody just kind of been like, nah, I'm not interested. Too much golf, I heard several times. And
they don't need to be in
that core 6 is still with us. I mean, they're still doing, we call them the board of Tin Cup. And those 6 guys kind of started it all. And we've only grown from there. But it again, it started as, and Shelton's the idea with his buddy, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, you get out, you play golf. We all love golf, and we love the Ryder Cup, and we love that style of playing, and just kind of kept growing from there. And it was now we've kind of turned it into, I think, more of a Ryder Cup, obviously, style again, but also guys' trips too, because we're stretching a little further away. I think we're just all trying to test our lives a little bit. How far can we actually get?
Well, we're gonna get there, but I wanted to jump into it because I remember when you guys had asked me to be part of it, and you guys were playing. I can remember it was like, I was about 12 miles from my house, and I can remember telling Shelton, I'm like, hey, I just went to the North Carolina and played for $300 or whatever that number was at the time, and I'm like, why am I going to pay the same thing to play courses that I play every day for $20 or $25? And it was kind of like that was the thing for me at the time. Was I'm like I don't see why I'm going to pay the same thing to just stay here in town and play what I play all the time, on a weekday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or so it was like, so to kind of segue. And I think I remember telling Shelton at the time, I'm like, hey, if you want to go somewhere else, I'm down. But I was like, if I'm going to pay that to play in my backyard, I don't necessarily want to do that. So, kind of segueing into that, as far as, when you guys decided, hey, let's take this on the road, let's actually go out, let's do something different. Shelton, tell me what did that look like? What was that, what was that conversation? What did you think as far as where did you want to go first? Like, why Amelia Island? Maybe just because it was a shorter trip, or like just to test the waters, or what?
Well, I think we made a miscalculation early on by staying local. Part of it was we wanted to get a core group who didn't have to travel far. It didn't cost so much. You build a core group of people to play, and then you start venturing out from there. So yeah, Amelia being an hour from Jacksonville was kind of the easy choice. And I think everyone that went that first year to Amelia was local. So it was very easy to get up there. We could get up there, Friday morning and go play. And I really do think we needed that core group of 6 to get away, far enough away, you're away from home, everybody's staying together, hanging out, after round, cooking, having drinks. But I also think this was the first time we had 6 people that, I will say 5 people that really enjoy playing golf, one that plays about once a year. But it was also, there was probably more competition with that 6 there. And there were a couple of things that, from a competition standpoint, that, we'll bring at some point. I'm sure the good will come up, and winning a match. But it brought a little competition into it, And I think that group, the six of us there, kind of said, "Hey guys, if it's the six of us, we've got to go, but we can grow this back up again." And so we started looking at other venues and then looking at who else would join us. And I mean, now we're all the way up to 20 people. I know we're probably get ahead of ourselves, but I'll let Padron go from there.
Yeah, I mean that's I can't even mention good already. I'm a quarter of the way through this glass, man. Now I just gotta chug it. But that's part of this whole thing. That's
exist if you didn't have good. Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not.
I almost quit golf, honestly. I mean, after that. So it was that was a crazy, but that's part of it too. And I think, as we talk about Tin Cup, or now we call it Tin Cup Club, I think the stories are absolutely the best part of the whole thing. I mean, I'm very good in remembering almost every shot from every round, and who did what, at least in my group. And it's crazy that I can't remember yesterday from other things, but I can remember back to 2019 Amelia on the 16th green. But it's been actually a whirlwind. And you said we're up to 20 now, and this is the first time we've gotten to 20. And I'm not going to say I'm regretting it yet, but it's when you bring in 20 and you got 20 personalities, it could turn into different things than you'd like. But
what are you talking about? Everybody gets along just fine.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I mean, and I think 20 is probably going to be the max. If we may go back down to 16 with a pretty sweet number. But again, like you want to include. I mean, we went from this 6 guys in Amelia that one of them, Blakely, we had to ask like late, and I was like, "Hey man, come join us," because we couldn't get 6 to have 2 teams, and all of a sudden now it's like we've got the 20, and I've got, I want to say at least 6 guys that would jump in immediately if there's a spot open. One of them that has texted me 3 times in the last 2 weeks, and Wes knows pretty well.
Yep.
He's trying to get in because somebody hasn't paid a deposit. But it's crazy what it's become, and it's cool to watch. And I'm glad, like Shelton and I are just so cool that we're like, man, I can't believe what started as just like some idea, and it's turned into this, and like something we can just keep going for a long time. And we both have, I mean, obviously my son's older than his, but like we're thinking about later down the road having our sons join in or something, like that's so cool to even think about. But yeah,
I mean, like the reality of it is that we've been friends for a long time. We knew each other when we were younger, and it gave us something to reconnect over too, like playing golf. And I mean, Wes and I met through Tin Cup. Like, I mean, I met Wes through Tin Cup, and we've become good friends. And it's someone that I'm very grateful to know now. So I think beyond the golf part of it, just the friendship and connection part of it's been awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think go with being kind of the outside guy being invited into the group. I never felt uncomfortable with you guys. It was just like everyone kind of got together. Everyone's got great personalities, and everyone's a little different, but for the most part, there's not an issue. But when you get alcohol involved, there's an issue. But that's here or there, and we take care of that very, very quickly. But I think the big thing is getting to know guys like you and guys on the other team and people that we would never see probably on a regular basis just because they're out of town. And kudos to you guys, for putting that thing on. You guys put so much time and effort into it. I don't think everyone appreciates it, but I don't think they realize how much time you guys put into it. So grateful to be invited into the group, and what you guys do is awesome, man. We come in, there's key gifts, there's team shirts, there's this, there's that. I mean, the hat, like ball markers, you name it, they think of it. And every year it's something different. You're like, shit, I can't wait to get there. What do I get this year? So thank you guys for putting it on. I don't want to, make it too sentimental, but I really appreciate what you guys do. I know the hard work that goes into it.
Well, you come from a really unique position with this, Wes, too, because I mean, you've worked at a course, down in Ocean Hammock where you guys were seeing groups come in all the time, and so you get to see, what are quality groups that people put together, what are quality trips that people put together, and what are ones that people just throw together and say, hey, let's go, drink some beer and have a good time. It doesn't make it less fun, but it definitely is it's a different level.
Yeah, it is. And I was down at Hammock Beach. I was the guy who was closest to the sales team, and I'd handle all the groups when they came in. So you could tell right away the ones that were organized, the ones that were there just to get completely shit-faced, and the other ones that were taking it seriously. And where our group is, that's usually the ones that were most fun. And the course actually likes seeing them come year after year because they knew it was going to be a good time. They're going to have a little bit of competition, but they're there just to hang out with their boys they haven't seen in a while, have some cocktails, but still have a competition on top of it.
No doubt. No doubt. So, all right, I'm going to throw it out to you guys, Mike Shelton and Mike Padron. Shelton first. What is your favorite destination or course that you have played through Tin Cup? What's your number one?
Drone can answer it for me, but Ocean Course at Kiowa.
All right.
And probably the second course is one of the other Kiowa courses. And the third course is possibly one of the other Kiowa courses. If someone needs a idea for a group trip, go to Kiowa. There you go.
Shout out to Kiowa. They're a hell of a destination. Padron, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, pure course, you can't. I mean, that's Ocean Course is probably the nicest one we've played, to be honest. But I look at it a little differently. Obviously, we're big on the golf thing, and when we play, unfortunately, when we played, and I say we without Wes, when we played Ocean Course,
wow,
and there it is.
There's not. I mean, that was I have never been from such a high, and I can quickly say that there was something that Wes had a medical issue that he could not drinking induced.
It was shingles, goddammit.
There you go. All right. No, I've never walked into a clubhouse. I've walked into a clubhouse at such a high, and I go from a high to somebody. Well, I think it was Justin or somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, Wes can't play. He's got shingles." And I went from like, "Are you serious?" Because I mean, Wes is. I mean, from our 16 guys that trip is the best golfer by far. I mean, and for him to be able to experience it, I know he was looking forward to it forever, and to not be able to play was just heartbreaking. It was, and then it turned into a little bit of drama on how we're going to do his match and all this stuff. And then we ran in.
You know, the part that blows my mind the most is in this 16-person group that we have, I think about 8 of them at least are medical physicians, and not a one goddamn of them could actually help him out.
Because they were all on the other team.
Right. Good point.
I could have put him to sleep and intubated him and put him in a coma for the weekend, but I don't think that would help.
That's a bit of it, yeah. But yeah, going back to the course itself, I think Kiowa does it right. I think all the secondary courses, the Turtle Point, Osprey Point, Cougar Point, even we played Oak Point a day early there, and it was awesome. I think the whole thing together was great. I'm trying to think of what else that we've done that I think would even come close. Reunion and Evermore, the reason both of those were really cool is because of the houses that we were able to get. So in Reunion, we got a mansion. It was like a 12-bedroom mansion or something, and then we didn't have enough, so we had a few guys in another house. But Evermore, what was really cool about Evermore is that we had 2 houses, 2 8-bedroom houses next to each other, one for Team Europe, one for Team USA. And that ended up being so cool, being able to just hang out with them and then like have them in your own little team house, I guess. So that part of it, obviously the golf course there was really nice as well. Both courses, the links course and their new Florida course. But man, just the camaraderie in the evenings and being able to just hang out around a house or stay up till 2 a.m. watching whatever YouTube videos. That's so much better. I mean, that's so much cool part of the whole experience.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that's the part that, you can talk about the golf all you want to, but it's what makes to me for an incredibly quality experience is that part of it. That's the part that that's the times that you remember. That's the times that, when you put yourself in a great place to where you're all together, it's very comfortable. It sets it up for a lot of fun. And I think that, you touched on it. I mean, shout out to Evermore, like shout out to Reunion. They have fantastic facilities as far as making sure that people are together, that it's a lot of fun. There's huge spaces. It's fantastic. That would be the one thing that I would say about Kiowa. That was, I was in a condo that was kind of off, like away from the main place where everyone was staying. And so it was much more of a, for the crowd that we had and for the type of fun that we like to have, it was like you had to, it was an intentional jaunt to get to the main house. So I think that was the one thing that I would say about that. That being said, I'm sure that those things can be remedied, or you could change that if we were to do it again.
Yeah.
But it's just everybody's got their own flavor that they like, and they've got the things that are most important to them.
And Kiowa's shuttle service is outstanding for the whole island, from course to course, house to house. That part of it's cool. So nobody had to drive. But the issue was they stopped at, I think, 11 o'clock at night. So everybody was at our house, had to get back. And if they didn't, then we had to find a way back, or they'd sleep on the couch. But that was kind of the good thing with Kiowa, but also kind of like if we wanted to hang out. But yeah, I mean, I think having the two houses next to each other or right down the street from each other is usually the way to go moving forward. And this year will be a little bit actually a little bit of mixture of everything that we've done. So
let me take a step into the professional side of this thing. I know that in the beginning, when you started looking at destinations, you guys were using somebody to help kind of coordinate that part of it. And then I think you've done some stuff differently with different events. Like, talk to me a little bit about that part of it, as far as, are you outsourcing that part of it? Are you doing it yourself? What does that look like as far as the actual coordinating of, we want to go to this, wherever it is, course X, we need to get accommodations. We need to get, tee times, everything else. Tell me what that looked like when you started versus how you're doing it now.
So I'll take that. Okay. You want me to do a Shelton?
Please do.
Darren? Go ahead. I'll start from the beginning. Beginning, we did it on our own. I mean, I was calling, especially locally, we were calling places directly just as a group. Hey, we have a group coming up there. We need this many tee times. Which, I mean, again, when we got down to 6, it wasn't that difficult. We just need 2 tee times and go from there. But once we kind of started building back up, and I think going back to Orlando and Darren, and now you can take over, Padron.
Yeah. So after Amelia, basically Shelton and I would do our own thing, and then we quickly realized like there's a lot more involved, and each resort has their own kind of way to do it. But after Amelia, we actually reached out to Grand Cypress, which was where Evermore is now, but it was Grand Cypress. And I got a hold of their guy there, and he immediately called me back and he said, "Hey, my name's Darren Hoff," and shout out to Darren. He said, "Look, Grand Cypress is going to be shutting down. We're renovating," which obviously now we know they were turning it into Evermore and the big lagoon and everything there. He goes, "But I'm kind of branching off. I'm doing my own golf travel." And I was like, "Great." And he goes, "Can I do it for y'all for free as my first major client?" I mean, I guess he thought we were major. I didn't tell him we were only 6 of us at that time.
Hey, everything's relative. Major's major.
So I said, "Absolutely, Darren. I mean, he knows a lot of the Florida courses, a lot of the resorts. He's been doing it for a long time. He actually knows Wes from back in the day before even Wes had started with us." So the first place he recommended and we went to was Hammock Beach, and it went flawless. It was perfect. And I'm like, "Man, Darren, we're going to use you for everything we can." So we used him for Hammock to set that up. We used him for Reunion to set that up. We used him the next year in 2022 was Mission Inn. He set that up. The only one he didn't do was out of Florida. So Kiowa was our first major travel, and that's the one he did not do. But I mean, he set up everything from the lodging. I mean, I toured facilities with him because I covered the whole state for my work. So I would meet him in Tampa and we'd go see something there. We'd go Innisbrook or wherever, and he'd show me around. He'd tell me, "This is who you need to talk to," or "These are the courses. This is where you would stay." And he'd give me tours of it all. And I'd be like, "That's not really going to work." And we'd move on. And that's how we find everything. And he was doing this for nothing. I mean, he was just helping us out because he was a great guy. And now he's back at Evermore full time. So it came full circle last year when we went to Evermore and did this there, and he got the 2 houses for us. And Darren's been a huge help for us. So anytime we do anything locally, this year we're going to North Georgia. But if we come back to locally in Florida, then my first call is always going to be Darren. And if he doesn't have any contacts or if he can't help us, then I'll move. We'll go on to something else if we're looking for another kind of place to go to.
Very cool. So you brought it up. We're all going to North Georgia for this year or 2025. Shelton, tell us a little bit about Macklemore.
Jesse, I think you may have to tell us a little about Macklemore. I think you've been up there and previewed the course a la Team Europe style, where I think y'all said y'all took a private jet up there and played 4 rounds over 2 days. And
I wish.
And allegedly.
And then Padron will tell me that's not really an advantage to know the course, and we keep going. But no, so it will kind of segue into some of the other trips we've taken before. But back in COVID, Padron and I started looking at a bunch of courses. We're like, let's make our own little bucket list of courses. And we started coming up with various places. And again, we'll get to the trip later. But, this Macklemore course was opening up in North Georgia. If you haven't heard of it, just search Macklemore and the first picture will come up will be the 18th hole up there. I think it was ranked as one of the top, they ranked the holes 1 through 18, and that's up there for the entire country, if not beyond. So as soon as we saw this coming and then they were looking to build a second course, we're like, that's got to be on the list, and we're 3 months away.
Absolutely. No, and I can speak for it just because my wife and I were making a trip to Nashville, and it's kind of interesting. The way that they had promoted the course was they created this list called the Friends of Macklemore because it's a private course or a resort course. And so if you join this list on Facebook, then you could get essentially a round there. And so I had set up a round when we were going to Nashville, actually, and we drove through there. And it's the place is, it's about 40 miles outside of Chattanooga. It's, carved into the mountains up there and into the foothills. So it's not, extreme mountain golf like you would see in some places, but it's beautiful. It's got, a fantastic layout to it. And and I've only seen one of the courses, but it absolutely, job well done with those folks up there. And I think that they had a vision, or they have a vision of creating this resort kind of out on its own, like, as a destination. And I think that they're getting close to what they want it to be.
And that second course, from the pictures, looks absolutely stunning. Yeah. Called the Keep, I think, is the second course they just built. Yep. And it was just, it looks amazing. And they're all over social media. They're one of those that if you're following anybody in golf, Macklemore is always popping up. Obviously, any of the Cabot properties are always popping up. So they're gonna get big. Especially after this podcast, but they're gonna get big, and it's gonna be hard to get on moving forward. And it seems like that's our trend a lot with Hammock Beach. The same thing happened after we left. I'm not gonna take all the credit for that, but it's
most. Yeah, you take
of course, because everybody follows the Tin Cup and what we do. So
it's either that or because Wes left, and then everyone felt like they could go there.
There you go. Exactly. The price went down. They don't have to pay for his salary.
Probably what happened.
And after 10 Cup, prices went back up.
Yep.
Yeah. So, Wes, what was your first year with us? Are you Reunion?
I was Reunion. Yeah. We and that was actually a sister property of Hammock Beach. So when our mutual friend Justin, he mentioned that, invited me on, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have awesome, because I knew the houses were massive out there, and he was just, I'm like, oh, we're gonna have an awesome time. So that was the first one, and if I had to, write my top, I would say Ocean, even though I didn't get to play it, but I got to walk it with everybody. But that property was absolutely stunning. Like you said, all the other courses there that we played, it's just like, yeah, we got Ocean number 1, and then you got 2A, B, C, and D like sitting right there. So that was awesome. I love how we're doing these trips, and we all kind of have our own thing going up there, and some of us play courses before, and we just make a big week out of it. It seems like.
Yeah, we're pushing our limits a little bit, but we're getting there.
Any places
it's worth the headache
you would like to go, Wes? Like, is there anywhere like that's not? I'm not saying like I'm not just saying like out in the crazy town. No. Legitimate places that you think would be fantastic to go to.
Man, I think both these guys will know what I'm going to say, but if we got this group to go to Bandon, holy crap. I know that is a trip and a half, and we got to experience it, the two Mikes, Justin, and two other friends, we went out there and played, and it kind of reminds me of what we're getting into with Macklemore. It's out on its own. You're there to golf and enjoy their amenities. That's always going to be probably top of mind for me. I want to go back to Kiowa because I want to tackle the ocean course this time, God willing. And then, man, I think part of me it like thinks like something out in Arizona, Scottsdale thing, that new facility out in Frisco, Texas. I think that could be pretty sweet because that's all pretty much contained a little bit like we like. I think their accommodations are good, but I think when we look at these things, I'm sure, Shelton and Padron are doing this, like the accommodations have got to be something similar to what Evermore was and Reunion, having everyone be able to be very close proximity because there's something about that, Saturday going into Sunday, we sit around, we do the pairings and people are talking shit and, people are still in the tin cup because they didn't win it. It's always something. So
gotta have a theater room.
Speaking of, I see it over here in the top corner, and he's not supposed to hold it right now, but I'm going to let it slide for a little bit.
Yeah, what does he have?
Drank out of that night. What are you talking about?
Hey, I will say this about Kiowa, just real quick. It's for the price. It is absolutely a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, I've actually already priced it. I won't go into the pricing, but I already priced it for 2026. And the price of the guy came back. I have a guy there that we've been dealing with now for years, and he came back with a price, and I'm just like, how can he not? To be honest, and you're going to include the ocean course, which I think is up to 600 plus now for just to play that.
600. It's minimum 600. I think peak season it gets up to 680 to 700 and change. Yeah.
You're talking about hosting 20 guys, and you're playing all these secondary courses and the ocean course with the cat. I mean, it's a no brainer. I mean, it's one of those things that we talk about going forward, and I think Shelton's one that mentions it all the time. Is like I could do Kiowa every year and have it be our home every year for Tin Cup, and I'm like, you can't. It's hard to argue, honestly.
All right. So home number 2, like the next place that you would want to go.
Me
beyond, aside from Kiowa, like we know you love Kiowa, but
I have notes that Shelton and I share. I'll quickly do it so that nobody. So that's our. We have. I think it would be really cool locally to do Cabot Citrus Farms. What they're doing there with I was able to play with a couple customers of mine. I think I mentioned this on the putting thing we did, but they loved it. We were in a 4-bedroom cottage right on the putting green, and we were able to play. They have a short course now. They have 2 18-hole courses. They have a short course and they have a lighted putting course at night with music blasting everywhere. You take your shoes off. It's just such a perfect spot. It's in the middle of nowhere, so you're there and you're staying there for the whole time.
Right.
That's one of the reasons. One of the places on my list is St. George, Utah, but I think it might be just a little too close to Vegas. So I'm not sure we want to get into all that. But
that's other people's problem.
That's true. Yeah. Which actually might benefit our team because I think Team USA would probably get into Vegas a lot more than ours would.
You saying KG and Randy would probably be missing their tee time?
100%. They'd be. Well, so was Spano and Vickery. I will say that. My guys.
Oh, that's right.
They'll be on Eastern time. They'll still be getting up at 8 in the morning, 6 in the morning because they're just not used to it yet. Shelton, what about you? What about you?
Just for Tin Cup, I mean, like I said, I like a mix of staying local. I mean, relatively local. I think the Cabot property is great. Again, back it used to be World Woods. Padron and I actually went and played it way back in the day, and it was a very nice layout. What Cabot's doing, and then you mentioned a couple different places. I mean, Cabot, Dream Golf. They're building up resorts everywhere after kind of COVID or even before abandoned. But there's a resurgence of these just golf resorts that are just for golf. Kiowa has probably the disadvantage of the fact it was there beforehand. It's an older place. So some of the lodging doesn't match up with what they're trying to do at these other places. But I mean, literally just search Dream Golf, Cabot. I mean, you can go all over basically the Northern Hemisphere and be in one of those places, and they do it right every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I've got Top of the Rock in the
Yeah.
in the Ozarks. That for whatever reason, that par three and some of the courses they built there just looks so cool to me, and I want to see it. I want to experience it. That looks fantastic.
That's on there.
Yeah. I think that's probably number one for me. I think locally, as you said, you've got Stream Song that's here in Florida. That is fantastic. They've got 3 courses. I believe they've gone to 4 now. So I mean, that's another one again out in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful resort. Fantastic golf. So I mean, that's another one that I think would be fun to do. They like themselves. They're on that top 100 list with Golf Digest and Golf Magazine. So I think they like themselves a little bit, but at the same time, it's
You're paying for it.
intriguing.
You're paying for it, yeah.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, it's a great place.
The other one I'll tell you that I've been to and I think it's fantastic is the Sandhills in North Carolina. You've got Pinehurst up there, but it's not just Pinehurst. I mean, you've got all kinds of fantastic golf courses right outside of Pinehurst, and it's
Mid-Pine, Pine Needles, awesome place. I played both of them.
Tullamore. I mean, all kinds. I mean, like Mid-South is up there too. I mean, like there's some fantastic golf courses up there. And it's one of those things to where there's so much to choose from. It's kind of like Orlando, where you've got so much to choose from. You got so much as far as lodging and everything goes. They're competing for your dollars, so they want you to come there.
Yeah.
Very good.
You got to put Myrtle Beach in there somewhere. So
yeah,
that'd be a fun one.
That's another one like Vegas. It might be a little bit more of a kind of like a little more redneck than Vegas, but at the same time, everyone would have a great time.
I knew he was going to say that. I had Sonny Ledford, Myrtle Beach queued up ready to go, but wasn't on my game tonight.
All right.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think too, for us, especially most of this group being from Florida, we got a couple guys from Georgia, but getting away from what we see every day in a golf course. That's what I think was so cool about the Ocean Course. I think that's what's going to blow our minds about some of those holes in Macklemore is that we're not used to that. I mean, we're used to hitting houses and we're used to like just, water on every single hole. And it's just, it gets to a point where you're like, I mean, so I think a lot of these destinations and we're going to go on a big destination for our 10-year, which would be 2028. We don't know where that's going to be yet, but it'll be, I doubt we'll get 20 to commit to it, but it'll be a good travel. So we just want to go somewhere different, like somewhere we haven't seen, like in Bandon. And he mentioned Bandon. We went in 2022.
2022.
And we were just every hole we're in awe. I mean, it's just like, what is happening? People get to play this type of golf all the time up here. It's like it's just, man, it was amazing, and it's not something we're ever used to. And the nice part was I didn't lose a ball the entire time we were there. We played for 4 days.
You had to throw in the humble brag.
Nobody lost the ball. I don't think any of the 6 of us. All right, yeah, probably because Wes was trying to carry 350. But
I hit it in the gorse, and Justin had already laid up nice, so that's how I lost my ball.
Are we going to go into that trip at all, or how that started? Because that's like kind of an offshoot of what we've been doing. But that is another. I mean, that again, what I will say about Bandon, and I think a lot of those Cabot properties is we put a lot of planning into that. Got delayed by a year. I mean, we read books, we looked at articles, we watched videos, and my expectations, if this was a 10. I would like my expectations are up here, and I came back from that trip, and I'm like, they had met and exceeded every expectation. If you ever have the opportunity to go. Don't ask questions. Don't ask how much it costs. Just say yes, I'm in, and then figure out the details later.
And we went in February, so February.
Yeah, we went in February.
It was not. I don't remember the exact number. I may actually have it in my notes on my phone, and I can look it up.
A little chilly,
but we played. We had every weather. We had
everything.
We had sunny and upper 40s. We had a freeze, a frost delay on the last morning. We had a little bit of rain when we played Bandon Trails, but like I was one of the guys that plays 10 Cup with us. My cousin Ralph does not play under 60 degrees. And I'm telling him, I'm like, well, first of all, you're going to Macklemore in early April. That you may be playing under 60 degrees.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
But I'm like, man. He goes, how'd you even do Bandon in February? I was like, I don't know. And I asked all 5 of the guys that went with me, and I was like, were we ever? We were never miserable. I mean, it got into the low 40s when we were playing out there, and we were never miserable. It was awesome, man. And it's just in February, it was cheap. I mean, relatively cheap. I think we were like $1,500 a person, and that included 3 nights. It included every course that we played there, and you're talking about top courses in the world.
Sure.
And it was absolutely amazing. And we're trying to spin that off every few years and doing guys to different, hopefully Cabot places, moving forward. I'm actually a little humble brag, but I'm playing Cabot Bordeaux in July.
Nice.
Yeah, in July.
And where is that one?
In Bordeaux, France.
Very cool.
So we're actually going for my daughter's graduation present. Taking her to Paris, and we're going to Bordeaux for a few days, and it turned into a whole family thing. But Cabot, and then I saw Cabot Bordeaux was right by where we were staying down there. And I'm like, we're in. So Ralph, again, my cousin, and I will be playing that in July.
Fantastic.
So it's pretty cool. But I mean, like Shelton mentioned, Cabot and all their courses, they just do it right. I mean, and the expectation things, I could not have said it better myself, Sheldon. We had higher expectations than I could even imagine going into Bandon, and somehow it blew us away. I don't know how, but it blew us away, from the lodging to the transportation, the golf, the food, the camaraderie. I mean, the swag, like the logos. I mean, Wes knows all about the logo. He wears
show us some logos there, Wes.
Long sleeve shirt. I mean, I'm wearing a.
She's wearing right there. Yeah.
I'll show you guys what it is. That's too much to take off right now. Way too much to take off right now. But I do have a thing for trees, obviously. I guess I don't know.
But
Killed it.
I did. Yeah, me. My teammate killed it.
All 3 of you. 3 people hit the ghost tree.
No, me and you did not.
I thought you did.
No, I said woohoo.
Oh.
It's the picture on my phone right now. So if you update your app with my phone, it's me hitting that ball towards the ghost tree at Bandon.
All right, guys, before we wrap this up, I mean, we could talk forever, but it wouldn't leave us anything to come back for. So, we're going to do this multiple times through the year, whether it's big golf events that are coming up, like the majors, or if it's things that we feel like we want to, kind of share our 2 cents on. Hopefully some other guys from our Tin Cup Club will join us and be a part of this, but it's fun. Hopefully it gives our audience something to enjoy, and maybe something even to look up that would benefit them and their friends as well. But I wanted to raise a glass, say cheers. I want to thank you guys for joining us to kind of kick off the year, and look forward to more of these to come.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you, Jesse, for giving us an outlet to do this kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun to talk golf, some buddies, some bourbon. Let's make a big 2025 of this.
Amen to that. All right, guys, we'll catch you down the road.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Have a good night, man.